I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. You'll need tape. Doesn't really matter what kind. I used shipping tape because it sticks really well and it's quite thick and large. You'll need scissors, a drop cloth, and I would get 2 of these. One for this part and one for this part. You'll need primer, definitely oil-based if you want it to stay for a while. You definitely don't need to have this much, but I had just been painting my house, so I had a bunch of this left over. And you'll want some of this too. This helps to thin the oil-based paint so that you can do a whitewash. This is what one coat looks like. And I used a thick paintbrush, so I wasn't able to get up there yet. And this is what 2 coats looks like. And I did use a smaller paintbrush. You can see the gaps, but you're going to have that unless you decide to caulk it or if you spackle it. So I can live with that because who's going to be looking like all the way up there, really? So what I've done here is, I don't know if you can see that, but I've taped along the door and down here at the bottom of the baseboard. I didn't tape the baseboard because I'm going to whitewash this paneling as well, this baseboard here. And some people don't do that, but I just figure I want a uniform look from bottom to top. So what I did next after I taped along the carpet was I have this old curtain that I'm using for a drop cloth at this corner, and I put it right up next to the tape. The tape's kind of big. This is the end of the tape right here. But I want to make sure that I don't get paint on the carpet. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to look for little bumps, kind of press down if you do it like this, so that when you're painting down here, you won't get any on the carpet. This is kind of the effect it'll have. It'll look more uniform. There's some spots I need to clean up, but those lines that you see, those are actually shadows, these bright lines from the tape and the flash. So it actually looks better than it looks, but I'll probably go over it once more. Before you pour your paint, and you'll be pouring the mineral spirits as well, before you do that, you're definitely going to want to open a window. Trust me on this one. Open the windows. All of the windows. Because I'm highly sensitive to this stuff, I'm going to wear one of these bad boys. So this is basically a chemical mask so you don't breathe in the fumes. And yeah, so I'll be wearing that. If you're particularly messy like I am, you might want to wear gloves. Man, I sound like Darth Vader. But I don't care about paint on my hands for a couple days. However, if you're one of those people who gets it on your face, like my friend Jackie, this might be a step you want to take. And you might want to wear goggles too. As an alternative to sanding, you can apply paint deglosser to the paneling. And I've already got some on my rag. So I'm just going to wipe it on. And you just wipe it on till it dries off. And that will help the paint to stick to the paneling a lot better. So I've got my primer poured and I'm going to start to add the mineral spirits. Again, what this is going to do is this is going to dilute this a little bit and make it easier to spread and give it more of a whitewash effect. Now this stuff is pretty strong, so I'm going to be Darth Vader for a little bit. And I've got a good portion of primer here. I'm not going to do like half and half, but I'm going to put a significant amount. So kind of do that. Probably good. So I'm going to stir this in here. And I forgot this part. So if you're messy like I am, and your pan is cheap plastic, what's going to happen is it's going to fall down the tray, like that. So I'm going to get something to put under this part of the tray so that it stays on that side. Okay, so I've got my old rags under this tray here, and I've got my paintbrushes. As you can see, they're kind of beat up at this point, but I just clean them off with the mineral spirits after I'm done painting, and they're still paintable. And it doesn't really matter since you're whitewashing, it doesn't have to be perfect. And now the mineral spirits are at the bottom of this pan, so what I'm going to do is mix it up with the primer. So I'm just using a paint stick, kind of mixing it up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's good to mix it up pretty well. And you'll notice it starts to get more runny, which is what you want. Oh, got a chunk. So that chunk is part of the glue from the primer. I guess I didn't mix that one very well. So I would always get your primer mixed before you open it. And if you have a good relationship with some of the people at the home stores, then they'll even let you bring it to mix it again after you've opened it and let it sit for a bit. Okay, so now it's been stirred up, and I'm going to start painting with it. So what I'm going to do first is use the big paintbrush to get the majority of the paneling painted. And then I'll use the little brush to get in between these little cracks here and that lovely top of the ceiling part and the bottom. So dip your paintbrush in there. You can see it's kind of watery. If it's too watery, you might want to add some more primer and less mineral spirits. Once I let it drip a little bit, I'm going to apply it to the wall. And I'll just kind of wipe it up and down like this. Since I'm going for a painted whitewash look, I'm just going to try to get some brush strokes going. And I will do that down the whole wall. So as you notice, probably as I go back over it, it kind of gets this little weird brush stroke. That's why I'm going all the way up when I've got it applied, and then all the way back down. Now this isn't like a amazing technique right here, but what I do when I get to the bottom is it's hard to get a nice stroke. So as you'll see, if you do the up and down motion, you kind of have this gap down there. So what I like to do is I kind of go like this. I'll kind of bring my brush across and then up. And if you leave it like that, it will leave that line, so I do go back over it like that. So what that does is that kind of also paints the baseboard, and you see the drips. Wipe the drips. Oops, I put my drop cloth too close. So you kind of do have to baby it a little bit sometimes. That's okay. That's the fun. Plus you're going to have a really cool looking whitewashed panel, whether it's upstairs or downstairs. Again, check for drips. And I'm going to pull this away. As you can see, it dripped quite a bit underneath. And that's why I use thick tape down here. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I like to save time, so I'm going to take my big brush and go in between here instead of using the little brush. At the bottom, after painting with the big brush, I've got these little gaps, so I'm going to use my little brush to fill those in. That's why I like these trays too. You can kind of get the excess off. Kind of dip it in there. Yep, it'll do that. I think I put a little too much mineral oil in there. Or spirits, I mean. And just kind of baby that. Yeah, I definitely put too much in there. And that's my secret to beautiful whitewashed walls.